Hi everyone. Okay, so the first group of 1 cent small queens I'm going to look at is the one I just sorted. It's a little bit out of order, but it is the mid to late Ottawa printings made between about 1875 and 1880. Okay, all of these stamps that I'm going to show you have the characteristic plate dot in the lower left corner of the design. Okay, this is one of the characteristics that all the literature identifies as a key test for identifying Montreal printings of small queens. All of the sheets, or I should say all the plates that were initially produced, had a positional dot in the lower left corner of each subject on the plate, except for those in the first column of the sheet, up until at least 1880 when the new plates made omitted them. Now in practice, looking for a plate dot is going to be a bit of a hit and miss exercise because the small queens, as you know, are so poorly centered. And because of that, a lot of times the perforations will punch out the plate dot in the lower left corner. But if you do have a stamp that has a reasonably wide millimeter or so of margin, or at least half a millimeter of margin in the lower left corner on both sides of the corner, and there's no plate dot, then you have either a stamp from the very first column of the sheet, or you very likely have a late Montreal that comes after those dots were omitted. So the test, as I've said in my overview video, is only really useful if you have the dot. If you don't, it doesn't really give you any definitive evidence one way or the other as to what printing you're looking at. Now what you're going to see here, what I'm about to show you, is my sorting of all the plate dot stamps that I had that are Perf 12. Or 12.1, 12.2, combinations thereof. But there are no Perf 11.5 by 12s in this group, or 11.6 by 12s, or 11.75 by 12s. And you're going to see I've identified just over 10 shades of the yellow. A lot of them are very close to one another. But you're going to see a progression going from orange yellow up to a very, very pale lemon yellow. And I didn't check for time or dates on these because I don't really have any dated cancels. So I can't say for sure that the progression has any time date order to it. I have a feeling that within this period the shades can be found sort of all over the place, where a shade changes and then it reverts back, within a year or two. So, but that's an open question for a small queen specialist to research, and that would be specifically looking at when the shades were introduced and reintroduced, whether they follow a sequential time pattern or whether they appear and disappear and reappear with no apparent pattern. A difficult question to answer, one that would require a lot of dated examples, a massive number, in fact, in order to reach statistical conclusions about that. But what I'm going to show you right now is just the basic colors. As far as papers go, I've identified a number of papers, A through L, I believe, for the middle Montreal period, MMA through MML. About half of those are horizontal wove papers and the other half are vertical wove papers. The distinctions are pretty fine. I look at whether the mesh on the back is visible or not, and if it is, whether it's fine, medium, or coarse. I look at the thickness of the paper, and I look at the felt side of the paper as to whether it's smooth or it has a corrugated appearance, or whether it's, you know, fully non-porous or somewhat porous on the surface. So I'm just going to turn the camera now. Actually, I think I'll take it off the tripod and I'll turn it around so you can see the sort that I've done. So if you look here, you can see that I've identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then a bunch of groups down here. But basically, if you look over here, these are orange-yellow shades. They're right on the cusp of being orange, of number 35As. And you could probably classify them as such, but they're right at the borderline of yellow. Then over here, in these two groups here, these two columns, I've got a very deep, bright orange or vibrant yellow. So bright, rich yellow. Dark, saturated, not especially greenish or lemony, but just very, very solid, bright yellow. Then over here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different shade groupings of just yellow. The yellow can be some are a little bit duller than others, but generally speaking, this yellow is not particularly bright. It's not particularly dull, and it's not lemon yellow. Okay, then over here in these two columns, I've got what I would consider to be basic lemon yellow. So now we're getting pale and bright, much brighter than, so if we took a standard yellow over here and we compare it to the lemon yellow, you can see this stamp here has more orange in it, and it's not as bright as this. And then compare that to, we'll take a deeper, rich yellow, and you can see the difference there. Okay, or we'll pick an orange yellow over here and compare it to here. And you can see night and day, not the same at all. Okay, so then the lemon yellow becomes very, very bright here and very pale. And there's some deeper lemon yellows here until we get down here where we have the palest of the pale lemon yellow. And if we put that up here and we take the orange yellow, you can see the difference between the orange yellow and the very pale lemon yellow. Or if you like, we can take the deep rich yellow there and you compare it to the lemon yellow, the very pale lemon yellow here. And you can see again, hopefully, that is night and day. So we'll put those back here. So the papers are going to vary all throughout here. The most common one you're going to find is probably on the horizontal wove is what I call MMB, which is a coarse horizontal mesh. On the felt side, it appears somewhat corrugated under magnification. It's too difficult for me to show on camera here, I think, but it will have a distinct, when I say coarse horizontal mesh, it's clearly obvious when you're looking at it from the back. You don't have to hold it up to backlighting in order to see it. So I'm just going to see, yeah. Another one that's fairly common is MMF, which I believe is a vertical mesh paper. And again, it has fine mesh, smooth printing surface, relatively opaque. And then within that, some of these will vary in thickness, and some of the papers are similar to one another, but just different in thickness. What you will find generally is, I'll just turn the camera back to myself. Generally speaking, the paper on the Montreal printings here is not soft in the mid-period to late period. And when I say soft, the soft papers will have a very silky glide feel. If you move a stamp between your thumb and forefinger, it'll slide nice and smoothly and easily. That won't happen with the later papers. It won't feel particularly rough, but it won't have that silky smooth feeling that it has on the first Ottawa printings and the very early Montreals. That's one of the tests for identifying those early papers. But here, the main identifying characteristic of this period will be the plate dots, the shades that I've just shown you, and the common papers that, while common to this period, are not found in the second Ottawa period, or for that matter, in the late Montreal. Now, I'm just going to take a quick look and see, going back to the stamps, I want to see if I can show you a plate dot. If I can find an example that is sufficiently clear to be able to see it. The difficulty here in showing you these dots is that the color is so pale. Let's see. I don't know if you can see on this one, on the yellow orange, if you can see the dot at the lower left. It's right down here, or right in the corner here. So yeah, I'm trying to focus this in a way that you'll be able to see it. I can't tell by looking in my viewfinder, but that's where you look for the dots. And it's present on all the stamps here that I just showed you. So if you have a stamp with a plate dot like this in those shades, you've got something issued between about 1875 and 1880. I haven't found anything with a cancel earlier than that, although it may be possible that some of these could go back to 1873, 74. But I think that's the early period, and I think in most cases those are going to be orange-yellow shades. So that deals with this period. The other thing I'll show you subsequently when I get it sorted would be the stamps without the plate dots, which will have a similar range of shades, but different papers, and will typically be from the late Ottawa period, which would be about 1880 to 1888. And that'll take some time to sort. And then I'll backtrack and pull out what I have for the first Ottawa and the Perf 11.5 by 12 period for the mid Montreal, and I'll show you what I sorted there. Okay, well, hopefully this helps. Thanks for watching. Bye.